Hey everyone, Zach here, and welcome to Section 8 of the RTS tutorial series. In this lesson, Lesson 66, we'll be covering the AI prep work that we need to do. So we'll be creating, but not populating, our blueprint and our Blackboard. We'll be creating functions and using them throughout multiple blueprints that we'll need to help our AI work properly, and we'll be creating our unit stats. That said, congratulations on making it this far in the series. I will say this is a bit different from this point forward. We will have less material that we can see a result from at the end of the lesson. So these are going to be more based on how long the recordings take me to do. So I want to keep these under 40 minutes. I want to keep them between 20 to 30 minutes unless I know there is something that we can see at the very end as a sort of proof of effort kind of thing. All right, all of that said, because I've wasted a minute doing this, open up your editor and let's get started. Welcome back to the editor, and in today's video we're just going to be setting up what we need for our AI. So the first thing we are going to do is we're going to create a behavior tree and a Blackboard. So in our blueprints folder we have an AI folder already. We have one of the things we're going to need, which is our controller. As I mentioned, we need a behavior tree and a Blackboard. So the way we're going to do that, we're just going to right click on this menu and we're going to go to artificial intelligence and we're going to do behavior tree first. We're just going to name this BT for behavior tree, player unit base. The reason we're naming it base is we're going to have other behavior trees for different types of units. So we can have infantry units just do auto attack, harvester units just do auto harvesting, but there'll be some shared commonalities across them, and that's going to be taken care of in our base. The next one we're going to do is artificial intelligence Blackboard, and we're just going to name that BB for Blackboard, player unit, and that's going to be the same for all of them across the board. So let's just Control S save so we get rid of those asterisks. And very quickly, let's talk about what a behavior tree is and what a Blackboard is. We'll start with the Blackboard. So a Blackboard is just an asset that stores variables. So in our normal, let's just open up a blueprint real quick. In our normal blueprint, which unfortunately this did not open the way I wanted it to, if you go to full editor, which you'll need to do for this by the way, we normally have our variables here. For a behavior tree, the variables aren't stored, let's open this up as well, in the behavior tree, they're stored in the Blackboard. So this section is very similar to what we have over here when we do our variables. There are some key differences. When we set an enum in here, for example, we set it as a particular enum. In a Blackboard, we just set as an enum type, and then we declare which enum it is. So there are some differences, but it's relatively the same. This bit is very different. This behavior tree is very different than other graphs we've worked with. Where things are placed matters. And now it's not going to matter so much in this video, but you'll see numbers show up as we pull off our root and off of other branches we'll make. These numbers indicate the order in which they're going to happen. And the way a behavior tree works, it reads top down, left to right. So where you place nodes is extremely important. And I'll go over the different parts of a behavior tree as we get into it. So just know this is where the decisions are made on what the AI is going to do. Now, if for some reason at this point, when you open up your behavior tree, it does not say BB underscore or BB underscore player unit here, go to your behavior tree, root that is, click this where it says behavior tree, and make sure the Blackboard asset is set to the correct name. All right. So that's the first step. The second step is to set up our controller to call on our behavior tree. And the controller in this case is the AI controller. It's this bit here. So the second step of what we're going to do is we're going to call on our behavior tree. So we're going to delete this event tick, and we're going to create a new set of reference casts. So we've done this before, so should be old hat for a lot of you. We're just going to create a new macro, which will be called reference casts. It'll have an execute pin. So our execute pin, if you don't remember, is just called execute. When we type this in, it'll get rid of it once we change this over to an execute. And on the output, we're going to have another execute pin, which will be called a then pin. Again, it'll get rid of the name if we do execute and then. I'm just going to move this out of the way for now. We're going to call our player controller, which means we need to get an object first. So we're going to get our player controller. We are going to cast to our player controller, which is the RTS player controller, if you don't remember. And just because we haven't done this before, we're going to do it as a pure cast. So right-click on the controller when it has the execute pins in it and select pure cast. And we're going to promote this to a variable, which will be our controller. We're going to name this our controller ref. Plug that into there. We also need to call on our game state. So let's get game state. And we're going to cast to our game state again. Actually, cast to. And we have our RTS game state. Again, right click it, convert to pure cast. And we're going to promote to variable. And this will be game state ref. Plug that into there. And just going to tidy this up a little bit. And then we're going to take this output pin and we're going to plug it into there. Now with that done, we're just going to put this in a category of references like we usually do. Compile, save, go back to your event graph, take your reference cast, set it just there, and attach it to begin play. So now whenever this AI is called up, we will begin with our reference casts. Now this AI should automatically, so this AI controller should automatically come into play. If your units aren't moving, then there is something wrong where this isn't being called. Because in our unit master, we set our AI to this. And just make sure you have that set already. So go to your unit master. In your class defaults, under RTS unit master, the self one, you should have AI controller class here. This should read the same name as that controller there. Let's close that out for a second. We will need it in a moment. So now that that's done, we need to actually call our Blackboard. So we're going to say use Blackboard. And in here we have a drop-down list under our Blackboard assets. Currently we only have one Blackboard, so let's call that one. And then we need to say which behavior tree to use. So it's going to be run behavior tree. And again, we have that drop-down. We only have one behavior tree, which is useful. So we're going to select that. And the third thing we need to do in this, or actually fourth thing, is we need to have something that says what unit is being possessed. So what we're going to do, or a reference to the units being possessed, is we're going to have an event on possess. And this event on possess has this possessed pawn. So we're just going to do a cast to RTS unit master. We're also going to convert this to a pure cast just for the hell of it. And we'll promote this to a variable, and this will be our unit reference. So this is the particular unit that is being referenced when we are possessing. And we're just going to put this into references. Now remember, every single unit is going to have their own version of this. So there'll be, if we have 4 units on the screen, there'll be 4 AI controllers running at a given time. All right, now that takes us through step 2. Step 3 will be setting the variables we need in game. So one of the variables we're going to need is our game time. And we're going to do that in here to begin with. So we'll do a custom event up here, and this custom event will be get game speed. And it'll have one input, which will be our game speed. It'll be of type float. This should seem really familiar to a lot of you because we have done this numerous times already. We're going to promote that to a variable, and it'll be game speed. Just tuck that there for now. We're going to get our game state reference. We are going to pull off our game state and look for the function get game speed. There we go. Plug that into there. And then take the game speed we just created, plug that into the game speed there as a setter. And next, get your game state again, place it there, and we are going to bind to game speed control. Again, this is something we've done before. And the event, we're going to create event, and the event we are creating is this game speed up here. So look for game speed, or get game speed, bracket game speed. Compile, save. That's all we need to do with this blueprint for our setup today. It's Control S, save everything real quick. The next step in terms of getting our variable set up is we need to set up our unit stats. So let's go back here, let's go open up our unit master, and in here we're going to create some new stats. First stat we're going to create is going to be, ooh, that did not go well for me, sorry about that, is going to be our fatigue stat. So we're just going to name the stat fatigue. It's going to be of type float. And as I said, it's going to be a stat, so we're going to move it to the stats folder. We're going to duplicate this just so we have it in the right folder, and we're going to do one that's called hunger. Again, let's duplicate this. From hunger, we are going to do fear. Now, we might not use all of these in the end. I might get rid of some of them, but having them in place now just makes it a little bit easier. Duplicate again. We'll do job satisfaction. And then we'll duplicate another one, and it will be happiness. Okay, so that takes us through, after we save and compile, all of our third step. Now we need to set up our generic functions. So still in our unit master, we're going to go up to our reference cast on the begin play here, and we're going to add in a new reference cast. So let's just break that pin there. And we are going to get AI controller. We want this first one here. Now it's different than the usual AI controller, or sorry, than the usual get, is we don't have that reference to self here. So we actually need to get a reference to self. So that's the actor being controlled. And we're going to cast to our unit master controller AI. Plug that into there. And we're going to make a reference to this. And this will be our AI controller ref. And then grab your output, plug that back in, move this reference into your references folder if you have the same categories as I do. There we go. Compile, save. Next, what we need to do in this is we need to set up two new functions in here. And these functions will be set is busy and set get unit status. So let's do is busy first. So create a new function, set, thank you autosave for causing problems there, set is busy, and set is busy is going to have one input, and that'll be a Boolean type of is busy. And to get this to work, before we go any further, let's go back to our Blackboard, and we're going to add a new key. It's going to be of type bool, and we're going to name this one is busy. We are just going to save real quick and go back to the unit master. In here, what we're going to do is we're going to get our AI controller reference. From our reference, we're going to get Blackboard. Line that up. And then we are going to do set value as bool. And plug the execute into there. Put a return node in. And off this is busy, we're going to plug that into there. I'm just going to put a couple of reroutes in. Now, unlike other nodes where we've been able to put names in directly. We can't actually type a name in here. So we have to drag off of this one, do promote to variable, and we're going to name this variable is busy. We're just going to set it here for a second. We're going to compile, and we are going to set the text here to is busy. The capitalization and spelling must be the same as the name in our Blackboard. So compile, save again. Just going to toss this into our AI folder. So I'm going to create an AI folder for that one. There we go. Compile, save again. And the next one we need to do is create a reference. We need to create a function. So the next thing we need to do is create a function for our stats. So we're going to create that function as get unit stats. So get unit stats. And we're going to set both of these for our AI as well, into a category at least. Alright, with our AI get stats, or get unit stats, which I'm going to very quickly fix the name of, because there's that extra capital T in my version. There we go. We are going to have one return node. This is going to be a pure function. And we're going to grab our current health, just in case we need this in the future. It's good to have it ready. Our happiness, because these are kind of the meta statistics. And that's like having the meta statistics at the top. We are then going to get all the other ones of our fatigue. And you can add in the armor if you want. You know, I'm not going to do anything with that myself, but you can if you want. So once all of these are in, this job satisfaction was kind of, no, it's not going to be a meta one. You're going to take from the pin here and just attach to the return node. So all we're doing is passing this information out. You might even want to create, instead of doing it this way, a structure of floats that have these variables in it, maybe minus the current health. All right, that takes us through this step. Now comes the little fiddly step of setting is busy. And this is just so that we have everything ready to go when we get into our AI proper. So we're going to need our units for this and our player controller. We'll start with our player controller. Let's go to our player controller. Let's just zoom out for a minute. We are going to want to move everything this bottom bit here. We're just going to move it over a bit. Move it down here. We want to comment this out as produce resources, which I probably should have done in the summary video for the end of section 7. However, I haven't recorded the summary video yet. As you guys know, I tend to do the first couple of videos in the next section first before I record the summary video. This is where it's going to get a bit messy. We're going to expand this down. So the comment on the right-click commands. We're going to move this move unit bit over here. And we're going to work across from our left to our right, just getting this in place. The reason why we're doing left to right is just because we have to move a lot of things around to get everything to line up, to get everything in nicely. So we're going to be adding a call to our is busy. And we'll be setting it as true and false as needed. So first thing actually I'm going to do is I'm going to go over here real quick. I'm going to highlight the selected unit, the unit type, and the enum switch. And I'm just going to duplicate that over here for a minute. We're going to use this a few times. And the reason why we're going to use this a few times is, well, while all the units are, say, moving to a resource, only one of these units is going to have something special happen at that resource. So I'm skipping a small step first. We're going to just back away from that for a moment. We're going to expand this comment box out that way. We're going to grab this get movement target and move to calls. I'm just going to move this out this way. And we're going to break this. What's going to happen is once we give a command to a unit as the player, we are going to set the unit status to is busy. So we have our unit control. We have our selected unit. We're going to get it. We are going to call set is busy. and this is going to be true. Plug that into there. Plug this into here. So the reason why we're doing this, let's say we have units that will be automated, but we want them to do something. We don't want the automation to take over unless it's, a dire situation, like they're getting shot at and they need to flee. Then we want them to ignore this is busy. We'll take care of that later on. But let's say we send them to go harvest from a tree, and the AI goes, oh, I want you to harvest from that rock instead, but we want the wood resource. The setting is busy is going to help us prevent the AI from go to that rock instead. However, we then need to turn this off when it's done with the command we've given it. And that's what we're doing down here. So when we move to a resource, for example, only one type of unit needs to be busy when it arrives at that resource. The other units are just going to stand there doing nothing. So the unit harvester has to be busy when it arrives, so it keeps harvesting. So all we're going to do is we're going to expand this out a bit, and we are just going to move that up here. I'm going to be a little bit lazy. I'm going to Control W the selected unit and set is busy. I'm going to Control W that in here. I'm going to put that on the request failed. So if the request fails for anybody, they're going to get that is busy turned off. It just saves us a nightmare. Now, what I'm going to do next is I'm going to say on move finished for all units but the harvester unit. Once this is done, we are no longer busy. So I'm just going to line this up real quick. So grab this enum switch. We're going to place it in there. As you see, we need a little bit more room. Maybe I lined things up too early. Just move that out there. Grab the unit types. Just move them down here. And on move finished. And on move finished, all we're going to do, put a reroute in there, is send our infantry, our engineer, and our support into there. So again, if a unit is told to move to a resource, we're going to set is busy. We're going to see it's a resource we're moving to, so we're going to move to the is resource. It's going to set the resource target. It's going to go move to that resource. If it's a infantry unit, it's going to be not busy when it's finished the move. If it's a harvester unit, it's going to be is busy until we tell it elsewhere not to be busy. And that'll be the next part of this step after we finished out the player controller. We need to repeat this process for our other events as well. So move to building, we'll have to have a special setup as well. And let's just actually copy all of this as a Control W down here. And we're going to plug the on fail there. On move finished. We are going to remove the engineer from that group and plug in the harvester instead of the engineer. So the engineer is going to have a unique setup where when it gets to the building, it might be doing repairs. If it isn't, we'll turn off the is busy then. But this is just in case it is doing repairs. We don't want it to stop in the middle of repairs, do we? So, why is that comment longer? It's not like it matters too much. Now we have our move to vehicle. And the move to vehicle is actually going to be really easy. We're just going to highlight all of this bit. It's the same one as the move to building. We are checking, is it an engineer that we're moving there? If so, then it's going to have a special set of, well, we're not done until we're told elsewhere that we're done. So I'm just going to Control W that into here. I really did not give myself enough room. Just going to move this out of the way for now. Extend that out, expand that out. Let's grab this, place it in there. So on finish, or on request failed, everything will be set to not being busy, so it's false now. And on move finished, everything but engineer will be set to is not busy. Of course, the units will be hidden, so we'll have to take care of how that works as well. But we'll be doing that in later videos. Alright. Next is our move to location. And this one's relatively simple. We have nothing special for this one, really. We're just going to move that down, give ourselves a bit of room. And all we're going to do is we're going to duplicate the set is busy here. And we're going to come off the remove target decal and off the request failed. So if we're sending him to just a generic location, we want him to walk there, once they're there, or if they can't make it, well, we're no longer busy. Now, the move to unit one is a bit interesting in that I am going to say the support unit is never actually busy while it's doing support. You can change that if you want. You can set that however you want. But I am just going to say, because it's just for ease, that it is not busy unless, I'm going to give myself a bit more room, unless it's a infantry unit that is being told to move to a unit. So the way we're going to do that is we're just going to expand this out. And this one's relatively simple. We already have the enum switch in, so we're just going to take our set is busy and duplicate it over here. Now, we are going to do this twice. If I can get that to unselect, thank you. On the engineer harvester support, it is both moved finished and on failed. We're going to then do this for the infantry unit. Actually, we're just going to drag that there. And on the infantry unit on request failed, we're just going to plug it into there. So if it can't make it to that target, we don't want it to be busy. Compile and save. Next, let's open up our infantry unit and set our values there. So let's find our infantry unit. We do not need our set damage. So in our infantry unit, we are going to go onto our event graph and we're going to check for where we clear out our timers. I say kill the timer. Bit more fitting to say kill, isn't it? So on this part where we kill the timers, we are going to set is busy as false. So if the target unit is been destroyed, which makes it no longer valid, which is what we're checking here, we're going to set no longer busy. If the unit is, you can set it on the, if the unit's facing the wrong direction if you want. It's up to you. You might want to move units around unless they might be facing the right direction, and then you're going to turn them yourselves. And that's how I thought about this, so I'm not going to attach it to the false here, but you can if you want. All right, compile, save. Next, we need to do our harvester. And our harvester is going to be a bit complicated. We need to have 3 of these calls to set is busy in the harvester. It's going to be the same for the engineer, by the way. So in the harvester, we are going to have one on the end early harvest, and the one on the end harvest here as well. So as I said, we have 3 though, so we have to think about how we're going to do that. Let's follow this logic through to the end. So we're going to get our target. We're going to reduce the amount of resources there. If the current resources are at 0 for that target, we destroy the target. We clear the target resource value. We reset our harvester time. And we then look for the nearest building. If there is a resource building, we'll get a true result. If there isn't, we get false. And on false, we're just going to send the unit to move off elsewhere. And off this move off elsewhere, what we're going to do is just set is busy. Would be helpful if I had the correct letters there. Set is busy, both on the fail as well, in case we can't move to that actual location. So if there's no valid target for us to bring our resources to, we are done. We just move to this location, or not if it's failed, and we're no longer busy. But if we do have a valid target, we need to figure out which of those targets is nearest, and then move to that target. Once we've moved to that target and deposited our resources, we're done. We are no longer is busy. So set is busy. Now, even if you do have a valid target, let's just see if I can line this up nicely. Even if we do have a valid target, for example, but we can't get to it, we do need to go, our request has failed. I'm just going to put a couple of reroutes in just to make this a little bit clearer as to where it's going from and to. There we go. So even if we can't make it, we finish out there. So that's 2 of the 3 we have to do here. Now, what happens if we finish early? And I thought about this one for a while. There are a few places we could have put it. I just think the easiest place to put it is second we clear the timer. Second we clear the timer, we are done checking if we are busy. So it's set is busy. It's false. We're no longer busy because we've cleared that timer, and it can receive other commands. Compile and save. Next is our engineer unit. In the engineer, again, we're going to have 3 calls. So that's what I'm just going to compile and save real quick. And I'm going to get rid of the... Oh, that's a construction script. I'm going to keep that. I'm going to get rid of the check target health. We're going to leave the repair building, repair vehicle open. We're going to move the construction script over there and check armor damage. We're going to get rid of. So in a repair vehicle, at the very end when it's done, so remember, I'm now double checking my logic. Did I skip a step in here? So if we walk through this again, let's make sure we place this in the right spot. We check, is the vehicle at full, is the vehicle not at full health? If it is not at full health, then we check the armor. If it is at full health, we then check the armor. If it's not at full health, we start repairing it. We then check, is the armor damaged? If the armor is damaged, then we go through this entire process of setting this. I realize there's a slight mistake in here. Cool. So we really should, on this repair bit here, come off this false and go all the way over to our clear timer, because we actually don't clear that timer ever. So let's just drag off of this, and we're just going to plug into, see where we can plug it into that makes most sense. We don't need a second check on the armor damage. We just have done that check, so we're going to put a reroute into the end here. So we're just going to drag all of this that way. Put a reroute there, pull back from this reroute, and head over to that false, if I can get it over there nicely. There we go. Sorry about not catching that earlier. Just going to line that up a bit better. Put a second reroute into here. So if the armor is not damaged, we're going to go down that false branch, and we are going to go and clear our timer. Once we've cleared our timer, we get rid of this under repair, remove the single unit, and we will set is busy as false. Compile, save, and then go to your repair building, and likewise, we had the same check. We only are doing the health. So if the health is not full, at this point, it's going to fail and loop back through. If it is full, it's going to go false, and we are going to very easily, at the end of this, get rid of everything in terms of the repair check. So it clears out the timer, and we're going to set is busy as false. There we go. Now let's go back to our event graph here, and let's take a look at something. We've checked, there's no damage. We just want them as passengers at this point. And if that's the case, then we're going to do set is busy as false. All right, compile and save all of that. And that takes us through our prep work that we need to do for setting up our AI. There'll be other sort of prep things to do, but this was the most sort of all the changes we need to make sort of things. So that said, if you've enjoyed this video, if you have enjoyed this series, make sure to hit that like button down below, and also make sure to subscribe and hit the notify icon so you know when the next video is out. And we will continue with our AI in the next video. As always, I look forward to seeing you in that video, and I hope that you have a wonderful day.